Animation has come a long way. Super meta now, anime is. And, you know, it's catering to the people that it's for, which is really nice. But it kind of leaves a weird, you know, hole in your heart for some of the older, worse anime. This is a suggestion from last year, and I might have lost it in my video suggestions folder, but I found it now after an angry email. So anyways, let's do it. Yeah, this anime is supposed to be actually impressively bad. So yeah, let's get into it. On, up, down, play.
In the 1970s, an anime was produced that was so bad, so insane, so terrible in every single aspect that most people dare not speak its name. You think you're ready for it, but you're not. The anime that I'm going to talk about today was done by Studio Neck, a company that I'm sure you've never heard of.
Nope.
But as far as Japanese 1970s anime companies go, they are very well known for their incredibly low-quality anime. As an example, they once tried to make an anime about an invisible detective, and even though they did not need to draw the main character half the time because he was invisible, it still ended up looking so bad that they weren't even allowed to show it on Japanese television. And 4 years later, they scraped together the anime that we're gonna talk about today. Today's video is about Charge Man Ken, an anime with my name on it.
Charge Man Ken. Dude, this sounds like exceptionally cringy. I think I'm ready for it. I'm assuming he charges the power of the sun.
Charge Man Ken stars a 10-year-old boy with a really, really strong laser blaster on—
That's Astro Boy. Just straight up and down in every way possible. That is Astro Boy.
His never-ending quest to
Speed Racer mixed with Astro Boy.
Eliminate every single alien off the face of planet Earth. Now, I could tell you that this anime is set in the future, then Ken is a superhero, and that he's constantly fighting aliens and just blowing them to smithereens. But trying to explain the story of Charge Man Ken is a complete waste of time. It's just a series of events connected with one-frame explosions. Hearing spoilers doesn't even make a dent in this show. That's how little sense this anime makes.
Perfect.
And I'm talking on a sound level, I'm talking on story levels, every single aspect of it. Let's start with how long the episodes are. Now, if I asked you how long you think an episode of an anime is supposed to be, what would you say?
18 minutes.
Something like maybe 20 minutes or so, right?
Yeah.
How about 5? Each episode of Charge Man Ken lasts 5 minutes long, and each story is so short that there was literally no time to explain anything. They don't explain the story, they don't explain who the characters are, nothing gets explained. This is especially important because there's no crazy plan that the aliens in this anime will not try. And boy, do they have a lot of plans. One episode, they find someone having a pretty hard time at home, so they follow him around the neighborhood until he lights a house on fire. But the Duralians, they know how to take advantage of a good fire, so they force a kid to light other houses on fire, not because they couldn't do it themselves, but because they thought it was funny. How about that
serial arson?
One time that they resurrected an entire species of man-eating butterfly just so Charge Man Ken could immediately make them go extinct 3 minutes later. Or that time they somehow created a vinyl record that makes people go insane when they listen to it. Another one of their plans
it's still going.
Involved turning into nurses and then sneaking into Japanese hospitals to destroy the food supply so people, they just couldn't have kids anymore. That's the level of alien genius we're talking about here. But they're aliens, right? They're just bad guys, so it's okay if Ken just vaporizes them on the spot with his space laser, right?
Space racism.
Well, yes, but also no. Here's the thing about the Duralians. Despite having spaceship and laser beam eyeballs, most of their plans involve shape-shifting into regular-looking humans. So even though they're aliens, most of the time, they look exactly like normal people. This has the hilarious side effect of making Charge Man Ken into this psychotic 10-year-old who is just constantly taking people on a one-way trip to the Shadow Realm. One of their plans involved an alien changing into an exchange student and making his sister fall in love with him, only for Ken to immediately eliminate this mysterious, handsome kid the second that he finds out that he was an alien in disguise. Ken didn't tell anybody this was an alien, by the way, so one day there's just one less person at Chargeman Ken's school. There's missing people all over the town, but he just laughs in his sister's face as he tells her that the boy moved to another school instead.
Well, she cries.
Absolute madness. Now, you would think he has a weakness, but he's basically unstoppable because the show just hands him new abilities whenever he feels like it. There's an episode of Chargeman Ken where he gained mind-reading powers and then never used them again. In another episode, Chargeman Ken punches a boxer so hard in the stomach that he forces him to change back into an alien. I would like to point out that this was a boxer that one scene earlier ended a man's career because he punched him too hard. Towards the end of the series, they just tie Ken to a rock and leave him there because they've already tried pretty much everything that they can possibly throw at him.
I was getting ready to say that's the Greek punishment where the guy's liver gets eaten out by a bird. That's what they did to him. That was clearly that message. And then here comes the bird.
Does Ken have any weaknesses at all? Well, in the second episode, the Duralians come up with a plan to block out the sun. And when they pull it off, for a brief moment, their leader yells out, "Ha ha ha, Ken is helpless in the dark." So you think that he gets his powers from the sun, but later on, and we're talking like 50 episodes later, right? There is an entire story dedicated to them trying to figure out what Chargeman Ken's weakness is. So that means either their plan to block out the sun in episode 2 was a complete coincidence because they're jerks, or that means they aired the episodes of this anime in the wrong order.
Yeah.
I have never seen an anime do that. Chargeman Ken is basically unstoppable. He never loses, and his explosion count is so high that it puts all other anime characters to shame. By the end of this series, he eliminates an entire species of sentient aliens, an entire species of butterfly, numerous people that probably weren't even aliens to begin with,
You'll never know.
and a professor that may or may not have been an exploding robot. He shoots first and never asks a single question. That's just how good Chargeman Ken is at being a hero. He's never wrong. And then there's the episode where they try to make you feel bad for the aliens and actually humanize them. Early on, Chargeman Ken saves an alien's life, and this messes up the aliens so much that they can't bring themselves to fight him. And the episode ends with Ken saying that he knows the aliens aren't all bad, but does that stop him on his never-ending quest to fry the entire Duralian race?
He kills them anyways.
It does not. Why would you even root for the hero when people like Chargeman Ken exist? When I say he's legitimately out of his mind, I mean it. There's an entire episode where he actually uses that to his advantage. In one episode, Ken pretends to be crazy to sneak into a building for people with brain problems, not because he's out of his mind and needs to be locked up, which he does, but because the Duralians, they're building a base underneath the building to blow up Europe with a missile. Not a country in Europe, like the whole Europe, the whole thing. The
writer's room was spazzing when they came up with that storyline. Spazzing. They gave him a mental disability. They pretended to give him a mental disability to break into the hospital, to go to the ward because they're building a missile down there. The writer's room. The writer's room was just two guys and a slice of bologna.
Pull this off by designing a rocket with a mad scientist. And just as Ken is about to fight him, the scientist takes himself out instead. That's right. The only way to escape Chargeman Ken is to just go out on your own terms.
Because he's such a maniac, he's such a psychotic maniac, he has a reputation now with the aliens. He'll kill you on sight. The things he does to us is disgusting. And you notice that old man wasn't even disintegrated like the other aliens were. Like he is a full human being still, kinda. He's out here melting cats. It's probably like destroying them. their sense of self, dude. That somebody could treat them less than dirt.
That's right. The only way to escape Charge Man Ken is to just go out on your own terms.
God
There's no
damn.
other way to fight him. By the way, Ken's parents, they were completely okay with this entire plan.
Oh, they know.
Well, did I not mention that Charge Man Ken has a family? Well, he does. And they're all just as insane and out of their mind as he is. There's an episode where Ken's family is out on a Sunday drive, and Ken's dad almost isekais a kid with their car, and when they find out that it was an alien in disguise, he says out loud at the end of the episode, "Wow, good thing that wasn't a real person, or we would have been in a lot of trouble." Hard cut to laughter and happy credits music. Every episode is like this. Why are they like this? What is this anime? I haven't even talked about Barakan. I guess he's a robot? He's like Charge Man Ken's sidekick, and he doesn't really do anything. He's just sort of there to look goofy. But this anime, it's drawn so bad, I can't tell what I'm looking at half the time. Sometimes his eyes are fine, sometimes they point in opposite directions. There is not a single thing about this anime that makes sense. I can't even tell when it's badly drawn. That's how bad it is. It is so unlike anything that I have ever seen that it's easier to describe it by listing off things that you think you know about anime. Pulls you back in with an episode about kids eating mushrooms in the woods.
Okay, well, I'm
even
back.
talking about this anime makes it sound like you've lost your mind. You rewind the entire episode. Something in there had to make a little bit more sense. They did not make an anime where aliens lure kids into the woods to eat poison mushrooms so that they won't do their homework. But that's exactly what you just saw, and there's no explanation. And now, you watch the same episode of Charge Man Ken 3 times, and the damage is already done. This anime is an aggressive waste of time. It is impossible to get used to. It's like a roller coaster of insanity and disappointment. It has the highest highs and the lowest lows. There is not a single normal thing that happens. Not even one. It has a beginning and an end, and that's it. Up is down, left is right. Sometimes they don't even get that right. In one episode, they have these Jetsons-style moving sidewalks, and all the people on it, they're facing one direction. But the sidewalk is going the opposite way. So they actually animated a scene in reverse. How does that happen? How do you not know your left from your right? A million questions race through your head when you watch this. And every one of them, it's like a paper cut on your brain. Who made Charge Man Ken? Why does it look so bad? Is it even an anime if it moves at 3 frames a second?
dude, at like 15 minutes in, his video is now becoming so convincing, it's just truth now. Like before, I had this air of like, yes, but there's gotta be some kind of excuses for why it's going on in the back of my brain, and now I have none left. He has beaten me into submission. He is right. This is garbage, and I haven't even seen it yet.
What do the Geralians really want? Why do they have targets painted on their chests? Why does everyone just let Ken do whatever he wants? Where did Ken get his superpowers? It never ends. And those are just the normal questions. Ends. None of that has anything to do with the actual episodes.
Yo!
Next up on the large list of things that are wrong with Charge Man Ken is the music. They only had the budget for 5 songs, and they used them constantly. At first, you don't really mind, but after a few episodes, it becomes absolute torture. Anytime that there's happy music, you can't help but feel like something is about to go just horribly, horribly wrong as this existential sense of dread washes over you. This is the hardest thing that I have ever had to watch. Even the length of the episodes is a trap. You say to yourself, one more episode couldn't hurt. I mean, they're only 5 minutes long. What could possibly happen in 5 minutes? But nobody is safe in Charge Man Ken. Literally anything can happen and does happen in this show. Nothing about this anime is normal. It's never normal. Why does he have a...
We're not about to run past that, bro. She's holding a bag, and then randomly it explodes, and flies come out, and then attack her in the face. That's cold. Now, they was high as hell when they made this.
Normal. Why does he have a car? Why does he have a car? Some people might say it's unfair to judge an
What
anime
the
from the
fuck?
1970s by modern anime standards, but I'm not doing that. Space Battleship Yamato came out the exact same year as Chargeman Ken. It's not even good by 1970s standards. I've seen black and white episodes of Astro Boy
Yeah, he
that
Astro
look
Boy knockoff.
better than Chargeman Ken. It's not even drawn normal. Anime is not supposed to look like this. Even though it's super low budget, all the people get drawn in this hyper-realistic style that looks like no anime that you've ever seen before. People such as Dracula, who was real in this show apparently. And who could forget Purple Hat Abraham Lincoln?
Yo.
And then there was the episode that absolutely broke me.
Is that the Salt Girl?
I thought after watching half of Chargeman Ken, that I was ready for anything. But this anime ended up doing something that I've never seen an anime do in my entire life. It was so insane that it did not even register in my brain. I had to play the episode back frame by frame in slow motion until I found it, but there it was. For exactly 2 frames of animation, they photographed a hand. The second that I saw this, I fully expected to wake up to people with clipboards congratulating me on escaping from some sort of simulation. I don't even know how to respond to that. Bad animation is one thing. Bad animation I can handle, but they photographed a hand! Which brings us to an actual episode that defies explanation so hard that I had to make a YouTube video to talk about it. Dynamite in the Brain.
Okay.
Even the title of the episode cannot prepare you for what you are about to witness. You wouldn't think that an episode of an anime called Dynamite in the Brain would have dynamite in someone's brain, but it does. It starts with Ken watching a movie, he's watching some dinosaurs on the screen, and then he bumps into a professor that offers him some food. Nice guy. But on his way out, Ken witnesses something that only a true hero of justice would not panic about. Dr. Volga has been kidnapped, and a second later, a news station talks about how the professor is holding a conference between different countries to try and make the world a better place. They got aliens attacking them. Maybe you should get some people on that. But Ken knows that that's impossible. Chargeman Ken just saw that guy get knocked out. So Ken rushes to the conference, busts in there saying, "There's no way that that's the real Dr. Volga. I just saw that man get thrown into a car like a slab of meat." And up until now, Ken just thinks that basically everybody in the world is an alien. But the professor walks past a mirror and he has a reflection. Like I said before, nothing in Chargeman Ken makes any sense because they just don't explain anything. The show just assumes that the aliens don't show up in mirrors. So with no other conclusion to make, Ken uses a brand new mind-reading power and hears a ticking sound coming from inside the professor's head. That's right, he's got dynamite in the brain. Hard cut to Ken's spaceship. He apologizes and tells the doctor that he's a human robot and that he's about to explode and that there's no time to explain. So Ken presses a button dedicated entirely to dropping his co-pilot through a hole in the floor, and Dr. Volga falls into a spaceship where he explodes on contact. The episode ends with Ken saying that the real Dr. Volga would have understood that he was a robot that was going to explode in disguise, and how awful they feel about the whole situation.
They just casually suicide bomb their enemies and are like, this is cool.
There are episodes of Chargeman Ken that are so impossible to describe that I can't even talk about them. You think I'm spoiling the anime by telling you about this show, but I'm not. This anime actually makes less sense the more that you talk about it. What's my favorite episode of Chargeman Ken? Oh, that's a tough one. They're all so good.
Oh my
How about
God.
the episode where, since it's the future, one of Chargeman Ken's classmates is having a rough time. He's bummed out because his dad lives a 1970s lifestyle, and being the only sane person in this entire series filled with exploding robots and kids with space cars, this guy, he decides, you know what? I'm out. Vinyl records that drive you insane, exploding professors. I think I've had just about enough of this. So the aliens, they come out from behind some trees, and they say to themselves, well, this just kind of works out for everybody. We want to get rid of all the humans, and you're a human, so just do it. Come on, man, do it. This upsets him so much that he changes his mind, and then Chargeman Ken gives the aliens a face full of blaster, as he always does. This is the only episode in the entire show that makes any sort of sense. In the depths of my confusion, I cannot for the life of me figure out how this got made. You couldn't even air this on modern TV, let alone the 1970s. I don't know how they pulled it off in the first place. I'm investigating it like the wreckage of a crashed helicopter, and I can't find jack. Speaking of helicopters, they don't even get things like perspective right. They didn't even bother looping the backgrounds correctly. Even the Flintstones had looping backgrounds. Come on! They couldn't even loop the music right! Oh, why am I doing this to myself? Is this my life now? Just trying to figure out why Chargeman Ken has a car. They had such a low budget that there's jumps in the sound, and this is admittedly difficult to illustrate, but let me try and explain. Since each song only lasts around a minute, at one point someone making this show said, hey, you know, we need like a minute and 10 seconds of this song, but we only have a minute. So their idea was just to skip around the middle of the song instead of looping it back from the beginning.
Just play it.
There's not a single reason that this anime should exist. It's like every parody for a bad anime was rolled into a single show, and it somehow retroactively inserted itself 40 years back in the timeline. I don't know, but this came out in 1974. I can't even do math. That's how bad Chargeman Ken is. It's physically killing my brain cells to try and talk about this anime. You know what I did? I had to check if this anime was actually real. I looked it up on Wikipedia, and it turns out Chargeman Ken, it came out on April Fool's Day. This anime came out on April 1st, 1974.
The longest
All of this
joke.
insanity went completely unnoticed until around 2007, when it finally came out on DVD in Japan. Up until this point, nobody even knew that this series existed, let alone watched it.
Dude, so it's the,
and I'm talking like a wildfire. Episode started.
It's the most well thought out April Fool's joke ever, with the longest commitment you have ever
leaking
seen.
Onto the internet, and the second that Japan found out that it existed, it quickly became the country's favorite bad anime. Every single episode got millions of views. Every frame of animation got remixed into dozens and dozens of music videos. You have Chargeman Ken Pokemon parodies, Chargeman Ken Splatoon parodies, Chargeman Ken Toho music. You name it, if it's something popular in Japan, it's got a Chargeman Ken remix. It became such an internet sensation that they're still celebrating how incredibly horrible this anime is to this very day. And Chargeman Ken is just such a legendarily bad anime that it actually changed the entire landscape of Japanese anime meme culture as we know it. They're using him like the Pip-Boy in Fallout to advertise video games now. Japan eventually started doing so many remixes of Chargeman Ken episodes set to their own crazy remixed music that they even released an official Dynamite in the Brain song for it more than 30 years after this anime aired. This show has more merchandise for it now than it did when it came out in 1974. You got Chargeman Ken cell phone cases, you got Chargeman Ken figurines.
Wow.
You can even go on the official Chargeman Ken website, which is a thing, and buy his sweater, which I'm sure would make you go completely insane the second that you put it on.
Yeah.
You probably think I'm joking, but that's actually the entire plot of an episode of the anime Keroro Gunso. Or, you know, you guys might know it as Sergeant Frog. Whatever you guys know it as, even other anime make fun of how bad an anime Chargeman Ken is. And just when you've convinced yourself that Chargeman Ken isn't real and that the madness is over because he can't hurt you, Japan had to do the impossible and bring Chargeman Ken into the real world. In 2019, after exhausting every single joke that they possibly could, Japan decided enough was enough and made a live-action play based on Chargeman Ken with exploding professors and everything. Those Japanese Chargeman Ken fans, they know what they're doing. They even photoshopped that hair onto the posters for the full Chargeman Ken experience. Now, some people are going to say that Chargeman Ken is like the Room of anime, but honestly, that's not accurate enough. Nothing can explain Charge Man Ken. Nothing is accurate enough. Charge Man Ken is the Charge Man Ken of anime.
Yeah, literally.
It's peerless. There's nothing else like it. You know, this anime changes a man. It is, I can't even explain it. It's the sort of thing an alien life form way out in outer space would cobble together from 1950s TV transmissions with no knowledge of what anime or the human race is supposed to be like. In fact, I'm not even sure this anime was made by people.
Yeah,
I think that the Duralians might be real and that they made this entire series to give Charge Man Ken a bad name. What other explanation could there possibly be? Every frame is wrong. Every aspect of this anime is incorrect. There were times where I thought my speakers were broken because nothing was coming out of them. The hero isn't heroic. You root for the bad guys. In no point in its 65 episode run did I ever say to myself, yeah, you know what, that looks okay. It's offensive to all 5 senses, and a few senses only found in space aliens. Do you want to get into old anime? Because if you can get through Charge Man Ken, you can get through anything.
No.
Watch Charge Man Ken, knowing that your life can only improve from that point on.
Challenge.
But be careful, it might be the last anime that you ever see. A new bar has been set. Charge Man Ken makes Twinkle Nora Rock Me look like Akira. They're not even in the same ballpark, let alone the same planet. The list now goes Charge Man Ken, then a very, very large gap to Twinkle Nora Rock Me, and then, you know, maybe Girl Detective Club just for being boring and inoffensive. It is so far down on the bad anime ladder that it breaks through the floor like an old Nintendo game, then ends up at the top of the screen next to my best anime of all time list. There is nothing else like it, and the fact that nobody even knows that it exists when it is clearly the best anime ever created is a crime. Now here's the real question. Are you a bad enough dude to watch Charge Man Ken?
Absolutely
Do you
not.
choose to watch a modern anime or the Chad Charge Man?
No,
Why would
can't
you
do
even
it.
watch modern anime when something like this exists? It
Kamikaze
is the
dive
stuff
bombs.
of legend. And I would recommend that you leave a like and a comment too, because it would be unfortunate if Charge Man Ken thought that you were an alien in disguise.
Dude, that is probably the craziest twist I have ever seen. I have literally never seen or heard of this anime ever. I don't know what it is. I have no reference for Charge Man Ken. It's on Crunchyroll, 2.8 out of 5. My anime list, 4.6. You know how bad you gotta be to have a 4.6 on my anime loves every single anime ever created. There's supposed to be something charming about older shows, you know, with like the kind of goofy music and then the totally propaganda-driven plot where there's a bunch of stuff that you clearly just can't talk about on television, but yet you can have a complete disregard for anything politically correct because it's, you know, just all propaganda. It's got none of that. Kamikaze dive bombs, suicidal robots, sisters stabbing brothers with knives. I mean, that's a whole list right there of things that's never going to air on television, and yet it's in there. I wonder if it's actually too long to be just a pilot. So I was going to say, what if the whole thing's just like a pilot episode? But it's actually way too long for that. 65 episodes? You don't run 65 episodes and then think that you're not doing the thing correctly. They thought they were done. You know what? When you're a trendsetter, nobody can tell you what it's like at the top. That's crazy. Well, I see now why you wanted me to do that suggestion. I do appreciate it. You guys have a good one. If you've ever seen Charge Man Ken, let me know what you think about it. We'll definitely be checking out more anime reviews. Also, there's a whole middle portion of this video that the Action Cam's got to be reshot for because I accidentally stopped it. But if I leave it out, I'm going to see if it actually even matters. Because it might not even matter. So we'll see how it goes. I'll holler at you guys, man. Peace.